Hey everyone, Practical Dad podcast is back. Welcome to 2026. If you're listening to this in the future, it is currently 2026 in January. This is the first episode that we have had since November 17th, 2000. And guess what? You think it was 25? Nope, you'd be wrong. Think it was 24? Wrong again. What about 23? Ding, 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 ding. Is there a clap here? Let me see if I have a clap. There you go. You got it right. November 17th that's what I'm looking at on the screen right now. November 17th, 2023 was the last time that we dropped an episode of Practical Dad, this podcast. And you may be wondering, or you may be thinking, first of all, if you're an old listener jumping back on, thanks for keeping that subscribe button on your podcast host. Thank you for that. If you are new, welcome to the podcast. Again, it's been 3 years. So what's been happening? Why this delay? Did you think that I was gone? Did you think that we were done with the podcast and you just kind of let it fall through? That is not true. I know that you might think it was true, but it's not true. I think I did an episode. I got to look back at that. Let's look here online real quick. Generational goals. Nope, not that one. Kids talk. Nope. Episode 12. I think it was that one on reassessment. January 26, 2023. So exactly, roughly right around 3 years ago. I just well, you can go listen to that podcast. Here's what's been going on. I just haven't had time. There was other things that I prioritized in my life. And I looked at this going, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy to be able to do all of this at one time. And now it's a little bit different. I have a little bit more time. It's a little bit of an update there. So we are going to be jumping back into the Practical Dad podcast this year. And here is the dates. We have the 15th the 15th of every month and the last day of every month. And here's what you should expect this year. I'm not going to try to break us in too crazy. I want to, again, continue to give my time firstly to God, to my family, to our church, and to our community. And then with anything left over, I'll hop on here and jump on. And so looking at my schedule, I think I'm able to do this. I plan to give you 2 different podcasts every single week or every month, the 15th and the last day. On the 15th, you will typically, what you're going to get is what's called the Dad Experience. The Dad Experience is a conversation with a real life dad, obviously like we've done in the past. Kind of 2 angles. We may focus on one or the other. But the first part is what was their experience like with their dad? What is something that they learned that we could use from a practical standpoint? Secondly, them currently as fathers, what are some things that we can learn practically? So you should expect that on the 15th of every month, interview with someone. Those are a little bit longer, conversational like, but they're helpful by just real dads living the real life. On the end of the month, I will be giving you a pretty short, well, we'll see how it goes, but just give you a book review of a book that you may want to read as a dad. You may struggle to read. And so there will be little parts in there like if I only had one chapter to read, like if this is the only chapter you could read this one. If you're just not a reader. Other things, I'll just be discussing some of the strengths. So you may not even have to read if you just can't and you just don't want to, or maybe it's just you can't do it at this moment of your life. So you can expect the Dad Experience and a book review every month. And then we'll get into some bonus content here and there, but that's kind of what the plan is for 2026. I have some other stuff happening too, but where have I been? Like I said, I've just been here doing the normal everyday stuff. Again, I had finished up some seminary stuff that I was working on, so that dropped a lot of my workload. There was a lot of construction stuff that we were continuing to do at the house. 4 kids. The twins have grown up. They're now 4. Our middle child is 6, and our oldest is 8. And we have a 6-month-old, almost 7 now. And I'll tell you about her again next week. But that's where I've been, and I didn't give up. It's always been here, always trying to plan, or I was always planning and just trying to figure out the time. Didn't want to just start it. So we are seeking to consistently give you two episodes a month, and you'll see some bonus content in there also. So if you are new to this podcast, you've not listened to us, it's pretty simple. The name gives it all. We're trying to give you practical things. If you go back and listen to episode 1 or episode 0, I don't know what it's called. I think it's episode 0. Episode 0 is just an introduction of a dad telling his son or his daughter, hey, tie your shoe. And they're just sitting there. The dad gets onto him. Tie your shoe. You're gonna trip over your shoe. You don't know. You're gonna mess your shoes up, etc., etc. Child looks up at the dad and says, Dad, I would tie my shoe, but I just don't know how. You've never taught me. And I think we see that a lot in church, that we get taught, all right, Dad, you need to do this. Dad, you need to do that. Dad, you should be a good dad. You should be a strong dad, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't get taught the practical things. What does it look like to be a good dad? What does it look like to be a communicative dad? What does it look like to be an encouraging dad? What are the practical things that I can see how this actually works so that I could be a better father to my children? So that is what we are about. Again, there we have it. A couple years. That's where we've been. We didn't give up. It's what you can expect. And so I look forward to the next several episodes that you get to jump into. And until then, it's been good to be able to speak to y'all. See ya. Well, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. As always, if there are questions or comments or ideas or thoughts, just whatever it is that you have, go ahead and email us at practicaldadpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that is practicaldadpodcast@gmail.com.